Alright, so let's examine the operator stats from the first 2 days of the NAL. On the left-hand side, I have the attackers. On the right-hand side are the defenders. The top attacker and defender boxes are from play day 1, and the bottom attacker and defender boxes are from day 2. So just going through the columns, I have the number of rounds they were picked on each map, and after each map name in parentheses are the number of rounds played on each map in total. So we've seen 1 Chalet, 2 Consulate, 1 Coastline, 2 Villa, 1 Oregon, and 1 Clubhouse throughout the 2 playdays. In each of the map columns, if there's a number expressed after a comma, that's the number of rounds the operator was banned. If there's a comma, the number before it is the number of rounds it was picked. So the only time that number wouldn't be 0 is when that column is for a map that was played more than 1 time. So in this case, it'd be Consulate and Villa. They were both played twice, and I just grouped them together. So it's possible that an operator was banned, but still had rounds picked on that map. And then the next column, just the number of rounds they've been picked in total, the number of rounds they've been banned, those 2 numbers added together, picked and banned. Then the presence, expressed in percent, is the percent of rounds that they were either picked or banned for. And then available / picked percent, so we're going to discount all the banned rounds. So it's the number of rounds that they were picked in divided by the number of rounds that they were available in. And then finally, raw pick percentage. This stat's not as interesting as the others because this is largely ignoring the bans, but that's just the percent of the total rounds played that you saw the operator in. At the bottom there, I have the average available picked percentage for the operators. So in the first playday, we saw 50 rounds played, and in the second playday, we saw 44 rounds played. So I took that into account. So Zofia was played in 95% of the rounds she was available. She did get banned on 1 map, so that does influence it. But 95% of the rounds she was available. Sled 76, Nomad 57, so on, so on. The top 10, Zofia, Sledge, Nomad, Hibana, Thermite, Ashe, Flores, Iana, Ace, Jackal. For defenders, it was Jaeger, Smoke, Mute, Valkyrie, Mozzie, Mira, Kaid, Goyo, Vigil, and Maestro. So a lot of the really picked operators aren't terribly surprising. At this point with the Ashe nerfs, Zofia is probably just the best attacker in the game. She's got a very good gun and a very good gadget, and that's all you really need. She can blow up bulletproof gadgets. She can clear with the stuns. She can use the stuns to scout out enemy locations, etc. Sledge is just solid all around. He can do virtually unlimited soft destruction. He has frag grenades. He has a fine primary and also has an SMG-11 secondary. Nomad, best flank watch operator in the game, gets picked very often. Hibana and Thermite then would be the 2 hard breaches of choice. Hibana has the higher pick rate when available here, but Thermite actually has been picked in more rounds. He's just been banned less than Hibana. Then we have Ashe, who formerly, I believe, used to be the number 1 picked attacker, but now after the nerf, she's fallen down to number 6 here. Her R4C got a big nerf in recoil, and she lost one of her breach charges back down to 2. So now compared to Zofia, they both have breaches and Claymore as their secondary gadgets, so that's just a wash. And Ashe has 2 explosive rounds, whereas Zofia has 2 explosive rounds and 2 stun rounds. And it might be arguable, but I think a lot of people would say that Zofia has the better gun compared to Ashe's G36. The G36 has an angled grip, which so does Zofia's gun, and Ashe's gun has the 1.5, whereas Zofia has the 2.0. It's debatable which one's better, it might be preferential, whatever. But overall, Zofia just has more in her kit. But still, 6 most pick isn't bad. Then we have Flores, who might be inflated because it's a new op, or maybe it's underplayed because it's a new op, but it is pretty high. This is similar to when Aruni came into play. She was picked quite a lot, and I guess the same as Melusi and Ace. Melusi and Ace were just objectively absurd. They've been brought down to earth now. But Flores with 4 drones that you can gather intel or blow things up with, pretty good. He also has flashbang, so he can clear. Then we have Iana, who I didn't actually inspect the stats for last stage, but I suspect she's come down some. Her and Aruni were sort of in this little battle where Iana was just the best way to clear her gates, and she also has 3 explosives now in the Gon 6 and 2 frags. So she's a really good option. I could see her pick rate going up. She has 2 good primaries, but they're not fantastic. Then we have Ace, who's definitely fallen down a lot, and now that I think of it, probably he was the most picked, not Ashe before. But before Ace, I think it probably was Ashe. It was probably the top 2. But again, I didn't inspect the stats, so I can't say for certain. He could get picked more, but he's now outclassed in a way by Thermite. Thermite can just make 2 big holes. Ace now can make 3 kind of small holes. They're not terribly small, they're sort of small. But the big thing is he doesn't have a throwable. That's not his gadget anymore. He doesn't have smokes or frags or flashbangs, whereas Thermite has flashbangs or smokes, whichever you prefer to take. And then we have Jackal, who's up here. He even got nerfed recently with the gun nerf, but he's still a very strong roam clear operator, probably the strongest. The gun, disregarding the mag size, is still one of the best on attack. And then moving on to defense, no matter how much Jaeger gets nerfed, he still has a very, very necessary gadget. So unless he's completely gutted in some way, he's going to keep staying on top. The gun is still strong as far as defender weapons go. It's just a little bit hard to control now. And the mag is, well, a little bit smaller, but still a good gun, and people still think it's very necessary to pick him. He hasn't been banned at all, unlike Wamai, who has seen some bans, but he just continues to stay on top. Then we have Smoke and Mute, sort of interchangeable in a way, but not always. Smoke has the area denial. Mute has the C4, which you can use for single plant denial, but it's not as versatile or long-lasting as Smoke's gas canisters. And Mute's rate, I suppose, is a little bit inflated by the ban he got, but he still might have been picked quite a lot in that banned map, hard to say. Valkyrie, this stat is massively inflated by the fact that she was banned so often, but still picked in 70% of rounds available. There's no reason to think she wouldn't be picked quite a lot in the rounds she was banned in. Then we have Mozzie, who's really seen an ascendancy. He was very big when he first came out, when he had the super shorty, and then he fell off quite a lot when he lost the super shorty, and now he's sort of back in vogue with the meta sort of favoring engagement a bit more than it did before in the 20-second meta, or however you call it, utility soak meta, but people would play a lot more power positions. It was easier to do so because you could stack ADSs and Wamaidists, and now with ADSs not being able to capture as many projectiles in a short span of time, it's a little bit less viable to do that. It's a little bit easier to clear people out from power positions, and Mozzie has maybe the best defender gun for just running around, the Roni. You can use an angled grip, so you can aim in very fast, as it's a submachine gun with an angled grip. You get access to the 1.5 scope if you like, or the Razor Hollow. It reloads very quickly, it has almost no recoil, and he also has access to a C4, so just a very powerful, versatile roaming kit. He can do quite a lot. He can deny intel with the drones. If he captures them, he can gather counter intel. And then we have Mira, who was banned a decent bit, but still picked a decent bit. Very strong operator. I think if teams weren't used to her being banned so often, she'd even have a higher pick rate. Probably some teams don't practice with her that much because they expect her to be banned. And I think this is sort of the case with several operators on here. Like Thatcher isn't even in the top 10. He's very low on pick rate for attackers when available. Because, well, he's often banned, but as you can see, he only has 3 rounds picked, which, if I remember, it was like 6 or 8% of rounds available, so just a very minuscule number. So he's either banned or he's just barely played because teams are used to playing without him. So same kind of thing I would say for Valkyrie and Mira and also Wamai. Wamai, almost very similar thing in that he's picked only 9 rounds, but banned quite a lot, and he's still a very powerful operator. Good choice of primary guns, strong gadget. He doesn't have the shield anymore, which is a big blow, but he does have access to impacts. And then you have Kaid, who by rounds picked, I think he's maybe the 4th, no 5th probably. Valkyrie and Mira are much lower on just sheer rounds picked, but again, the ban rate brings up their presence and available pick rate quite a lot. I didn't take the time to combine these into just one cohesive chart, but I think I will do that after this one. Since there's only 2 here, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. Once I have 3 or more, I'll start just compressing them, I think. But Kaid picked quite a lot, and then we have Goyo, Vigil, Maestro, just very solid operators in different situations. Vigil, one of the better roamers. Quite a lot of gun nerfs coming out recently. Ash and Vigil and Jackal and Jaeger. Interesting way to balance the game and the operators. I think it is probably appropriate in some instances, like maybe on Jackal and maybe Vigil, but I think it was probably a bit questionable on Jaeger specifically. Maybe not, I don't know. It's hard to say. A lot of people don't like it, a lot of people don't mind it. And then a few things that I wanted to note, I have on the side there. The only operators that haven't been selected at all throughout the first 2 playdays are Kali, Montaigne, Dokkaebi, Fuse, Blackbeard, Nook, Amaru, Rook, Alibi, and Kavira. Not terribly surprising. And there have been a few operators, and you can see them at the bottom of the boxes, that have been picked just like once or twice. Like we've seen a little bit of Doc, Ella, Tachanka, Clash, Ying, Glaz, Blitz. So if you discount those, you can see really what the meta looks like. Even Castle you could probably take off, although he's seen, what, like 6 rounds. You could see the highest bans there. Thatcher in 56 rounds, Haban in 37, Nomad in 25, and then for defense, Valkyrie banned in 71 rounds. That's out of 94 rounds. And Mira 38 and Wamai 30. Some surprising pick rates, Finka and Oryx. Finka has been played more than a few rounds, but it was only by Dark Zero and only on their Villa attacks. But it was played every single round by NJR. And then Oryx, and this was only on Coastline, but it was played by both teams So maybe something to note there. Maybe he's coming into meta on that map specifically. Frost seems to continue to have some niche/meta play. It's definitely more than the one-off picks like Doc and Ella and all these, but it's not omnipresent or anything. It's picked on some objectives on some maps, and then it's played a lot on Chalet. So anything else, you can sort of just look through the charts and get any other info you want. It's all laid out here. There could potentially be errors in here. I did collect all this by hand, but there should be very few, if any, errors. Maybe there's some other interesting trends to note, but it's really hard to say when it's only been 2 playdays, so I guess I'll do another one of these after the 3rd and 4th playdays, and then maybe I'll do one a week after that, because I think after the 2nd week they're going to only 1 play, or maybe it's up for the 3rd week, I'm not sure, but we'll find out. So if you have any questions, let me know, and I guess that's about it.